Gacha games are notorious for two things: money and waifus. Yes, the gacha game, the casual money sinkhole that some get angry at, although they've been doing it for most of their life and others simply can't get enough. No, I mean it, quite literally. If you've collected cards back in the day or even inserted a quarter into those turn machines for a random prize while your parents did laundry, you've been getting trained for this very moment, this very genre. Pokemon alone quite literally built up an entire generation to withstand the impact of gacha games from its inception, and that's the largest media franchise ever created. Gacha games as an independent genre didn't really take off until the rise of smartphones. Companies put two and two together and realized if you combine portability with irresistible pocket waifus and decently fun gameplay, you have a recipe for an endless money hack. Of course, this was met with a lot of skepticism, as gamers generally want to own the content in games without having to continuously pay for it. However, with the free-to-play business model, companies will always look for a way to recoup costs and hit a profit. But with most gacha models, thankfully, at least some games offer something for those who are free to play, so they can access characters and cosmetics with time invested into the game. For me, the gacha boom has always been when Genshin Impact was released. Still games prior to this that were making a name for themselves in the scene, but as someone on the outside, it truly came to my attention with Genshin. The art style, the ambience, and of course, calming music reminded me of something similar to Breath of the Wild, but of course, with anime aesthetics. This game made MiHoYo, or Hoyoverse rather, a dominant force within not just the gacha space, but the anime sphere as a whole. However, despite its popularity, Genshin was not enough to catch me. It wasn't that the game was bad, it just simply wasn't for me. I wanted something more hip-hop inspired, with a cyberpunk aesthetic, something with the right amount of swag and flashy visuals that spoke to me on a deeper level, and character designs that would draw me in immediately. Who would have thought 4 years later I'd get exactly that? Zenless Zone Zero, better known as ZZZ, had a reveal announcement in May 2022, followed by an official trailer at the Game Awards in 2023. I was lucky enough to be present at the Game Awards, and when I initially saw the reveal for the game, I thought, oh shit, am I gonna play this? Despite being impressed with the little I saw, I didn't keep track of the game until one day I noticed it was July 4th, and I was like, oh, this is out now. There it was, Zenless Zone Zero, available to download, and I can't lie, I was pretty excited, but still skeptical. I didn't know if this was going to be another super expensive free-to-play game, or if I was going to appreciate the game for more than its vibrant character designs. I finally booted the game up, and I was drawn into not only the intro, but the amount of quality the game offered off the rip. You're introduced to the proxies, who will be your main characters you control throughout the game, as well as some of the members of the Cunning Hares. Nicole's design is stunning while rocking her money-hungry attitude. Billy's a badass and a clown. And Anbi looks super dope while maintaining a very serious demeanor. They all had this kind of futuristic cyberpunk aesthetic to them, and while the premise of the game has its serious moments, you can also tell that the game is not always taking itself so seriously. The animation quality within the game's story-driven cutscenes is incredible, and it feels like a visual flex to how amazing Hoyo's animation team actually is. On top of that, the quality of the comic-like panel cutscenes also make me wish I could save them given how beautiful they actually looked. Within 20 minutes, I realized I was invested into this world that was being created, and next thing you know, time skipped over a year later and I'm still here logging in every day. But what's changed? What kept me around? Like I said, I was waiting for a hip-hop inspired, cyberpunk styled gacha game, and ZZZ pretty much delivered on all fronts. The game even has elements of urban fantasy and street style that definitely play key influences in its overall aesthetic. As someone who appreciates retro games, old shows, and outdated technology, I really do love how they even try to incorporate the long forgotten CRT television into the game's main menu. There's a certain swag and charm to ZZZ that just doesn't exist anywhere else. The overall music is a blend of many genres that I feel have something for everyone, carefully put into the correct settings of the game to give off a certain vibe. If you're deep into combat, there are tracks that fit that perfectly. If you're catching a vibe in the overworld, you have blends of lo-fi or chill music to help set that feeling. If you're in a shop and need something upbeat, head over to the coffee shop to get just that. This game's soundtrack is so diverse that it sometimes makes me leave the game on idle just to feel something. This, of course, is complemented by the game's overall anime art style, which feels like it takes inspiration from so many fronts blended together to make ZZZ stand out, feel unique, and feel fresh when put side by side with other competitors in the genre, but even its own cousins in the Hoyoverse. If you ever casually sat around and looked at some of the cover arts of the discs and vinyls within the game, you know what I am talking about from those alone. The stylistic qualities of the game can be seen by its exceptionally flashy visual effects during combat, all the way down to the intros of characters to their finishers after bodying a group of enemies. Visually, the game is a gem, and I am hoping one day most of the art is compiled into a book that is purchasable. Please. You can't have a gacha game without having characters that are visually pleasing enough to draw in a large audience. Zenless Zone Zero's cast does this effortlessly, as there is truly something for everyone. Like any gacha, you have extremely attractive characters, which do their job at cultivating an audience, incredibly unique characters that would inspire any character designer's imagination, anthropomorphic animals giving something to those who think these archetypes are cool, human to animal hybrids too, and a cast of badass male character designs. My personal favorite characters though would have to be Jane Doe, Evelyn, Yijuan, Bernice, Astra Yao, Caesar, Yanagi, Zuyon, Grace, Nicole, Rena, and of course Trigger. Let me know your top 3 agents in the comment section below, and if you are a part of Jane Doe supremacy, mad respect. Even some of the characters I didn't list are awesome, and that's the genuine appeal of ZZZ. Something for everyone, and even if you aren't particularly attached to a character, when it comes time to play them, you'll find probably at least one cool thing about how they function. Not to mention the costume designs. Whether it's the original or of course the freshly new introduction of paid alternate costumes, you know whoever is in the booth at Hoyo is in touch and doing an incredible job. Even down to the details on weapons is genuinely exciting. The beautiful part about this is that the characters are so fresh, vibrant, and lively that it leads to amazing artwork and cosplays from the community all over social media. Characters are the backbone and lifeblood of a game, and without any that are interesting, it's nearly impossible to get people to play a game. And if the game is free to play, you need an audience willing to invest their time and optional spending. ZZZ nails this with their designs and more. It's sometimes impossible to choose how you are going to roll on a banner because of this. As someone who is a professional level in platform fighters, and of course loves fighting games in general, combat is often one of the most important things and first things I really look for in a game. To me, the combat has to be deep enough and also good enough to be addictive to draw in a crowd. ZZZ delivers with the style, excellent pacing, and variety, which makes me appreciate it a lot. It has depth while not being too deep for players that just want to mash, which is a critique I sometimes have given, that I'd like the game to be even harder sometimes. When people see the game in action at a glimpse, I love when they want to ask questions because they are interested. Not to mention, to support these character designs, you have to have good combat enough to hook players. It's one thing to have a game that is solely based on looks and is more so on the collected character side of things. Zenless Zone Zero is not that. It has a story to tell, characters with personalities, their own drives, and own ambitions to build, as well as an overworld that is always expanding. A common enemy within the world, threatening the stability of everything, which keeps the story going and the factions in the game always evolving. Surely there is a way to fight them, right? ZZZ's combat is a mixture of precise timing, chaotic mashing, parrying, tag team passives, ultimate abilities, switching between agents mid-combo, and learning the small details that make agents unique in how they fight. There is a team building aspect to this, as some characters have special dynamics with each other, others simply just work well with others, and the status ailments that exist within the game. Character classes exist as well as the attribute they excel in. Bernice is a fire anomaly, while Evelyn is a fire attacker. Jane Doe is physical anomaly, while Miyabi is an ice anomaly and completely broken. You have electricity, supports, ether, stun, and more. The pacing of ZZZ's combat is flashy and strategic. As stated before, mindless mashing is incredibly fun and works pretty well in the early to mid game. But as you grow in levels and get deeper into the game, it tries to find ways to challenge you. For seasoned players, this still really isn't an issue, but a nice bump in difficulty will always be good. It actually makes me wish at times there was an option to make the game's combat even more challenging, to offer a fresh, high-octane flavor to the combat. Another satisfying element to the combat is the satisfaction of leveling characters and creating unique builds to help characters fit more to your style. This would be in the form of disk drives and W engines, which you get mostly from just playing the game. But there are also premium W engines you can get specific to each agent, but they come with a cost. Funny enough, even the funniest and most adorable mascots of the ZZZ world, Bang Boos, can be obtained and used in combat to help give your team an upper edge. If you play ZZZ, let me know your favorite Bang Boo in the comment section below. In terms of any gacha I have ever seen, Zenless Zone Zero has a ton of unique side content that constantly transforms the game into a new experience. Something that I think Nintendo does very well, I know a totally different company, is using their IP inside games rather than just pumping out a mainline Zelda or Mario every single time. That's how you have games like Mario Kart and the Mario sports games as well. I see Zenless Zone Zero in the same light kinda, which is impressive for a gacha. Through the span of a year, they have added side content like fishing, mech battles, sniper range, Fall Guy-like platformers, and numerous online modes, turn-based strategy modes, and so many more different modes that I can't even name them all. When it comes to using the game's characters and mascots from many modes, it makes me believe Hoyo could diverge into so many different game genres with ease, but the real money is in the free-to-play gacha format, so they stick to what they excel at, and I pretty much don't blame them. They're good at it, but you know, please make a platform fighter like one day, like actually, please, that'd make me so happy. The fact that a lot of these side games are not only enjoyable, but also reward premium currency is a much needed and respected bonus. It's something that makes me love the game and appreciate always coming back, hoping for some of these games and events to make a return in some way, shape, or form, or just outright stay, especially the ones that you can play with people online. Honestly, sometimes the best games are the games that you, one, never expected to like, but two, never actually even expected to release in the first place. There's always a lot of discussion about whether gachas or even free-to-play, as it is now, have a rightful place in gaming. It's odd because, like any other player and as a game collector, I value ownership above all else. While free-to-play games respectfully allow players no barrier of entry to play the game, the monetization typically is very harsh and creates a feeling of missing out. Unlocking characters and cosmetics the traditional way will always be great, but as game budgets have increased, I also understand companies trying to make money to especially keep the game funded. It's truly a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, I tend to focus on the things I like about the games, and if the monetization isn't worth it to me, I simply won't spend money. Zenless Zone Zero has been opening my eyes to even other gachas, and while I have a few more I play now, none of them satisfy me to the levels of Zenless Zone Zero. Even though it isn't the most popular of the Hoyo properties, or even other competitors in the same genre, I still appreciate what Zenless Zone Zero once was and what it has become within a year of developers constantly pumping content into the game, as well as the community celebrating it for what it is and could be in the future. Zenless Zone Zero is a much different game than when it initially released a year ago. The developers noticed Array mode, aka TV mode, which is like a fusion between a roguelike mode mixed with puzzles, and it was removed from the game entirely. Players did not like how integral this was to the core gameplay, and instead of forcing it on the players, they simply took it out in favor of focusing on the fast-paced, flashy combat of ZZZ that players loved, which, well, pretty much, we talked about it already, right? And of course, opening up exploration a lot more in a more, third-person way where you have more control over your character and can kind of see your character as well. Before, you're kind of just trapped in TV screens navigating this roguelike world, and people just were not messing with it at all. I didn't mind it too much, but to each their own, right? I like what they've done now better. This was an incredible move, as players, like myself included, got to entertain ourselves with one of the key aspects of the game that was well liked, instead of the overall pacing of both combat and story being dragged down by TV mode, which just wasn't working. Accompanied with many quality of life changes to make navigating the overworld much easier and concise, there are also a lot of opportunities to gain tapes, polychrome, Denny, Boopons, and other premium currencies within the game, making it pretty accessible to those who are on the more cost-effective or truly free-to-play side. I won't say it's perfect, but I will say compared to some of the other games I have now played within the genre, I appreciate how generous Zenless Zone Zero can be until I lose the 50-50 when rolling for a character. I mean, shit, we've all been there, right? I guess what I want to say is, I'm appreciative of this game's existence, truly, and how it made me give these kinds of games a chance and eventually actually get into them. If I want to commit hours in a day to playing the game, I can do that. But if I want to get in and get out due to the busy hustles of life, I also have the option as well. Zenless Zone Zero's content cadence, world, story, and characters are incredible, and I love the level of quality the game offers while always willing to take risks in an era of gaming where risk-taking is frowned upon due to the pressures of game development costs. To be free to play and willing to do this is respectable, as well as steering in a different path of the initial vision simply due to it not living up to the hype and execution. Games like that deserve a chance, and developers like that deserve my time. And that is why Zenless Zone Zero made me fall in love with gacha games in general. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please drop a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And that's gonna be it for me. Take it easy. Peace out. Much love. Deuces. Later.